Gladio, così come è stata definita, individuata, descritta oggi, è una componente di quelle che ho sempre chiamato strutture parallele. C'è un esercito invisibile, non predisposto per una battaglia, una guerra esterna contro un ipotetico invasore, ma addestrato ad operare all'interno contro quello che in tutti gli ambienti militari è stato sempre definito una quinta colonna dell'Unione Sovietica, il Partito Comunista et les forces d'extrême sinistra adesso collegate.
Moi, je crois que Mussolini, c'était un bon politicien. C'est-à-dire que tout ce qu'il a fait pour l'Italie. Et on ne le trouve pas ça dans les politiciens qu'on a eu dans le 1950.
Yes, the polls say that the next Italian elections, Fratelli d'Italia, which now is the party leading the polls, could win the elections with the center-right coalition, and so I could be the first woman leading the Italian government in all our history.
So welcome, everyone. Super Gladio world. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Italian election cycle, triggered by a crisis in government a month ago. We're now being rushed into some unusual autumn elections, and the major players on the board have been sort of on the scene since the last election cycle and all of the intervening drama. So Mario is going to be explaining this to us here. I've already started in my humble abode in Baltimore, being evacuated as we speak. I'm already starting to get election mail from some real freaks, some true psychos trying to represent the Italian diaspora abroad in the two houses of Parliament. And I'm sure that things are getting incredibly spicy on Mario's side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, there's already a bunch of Forza Italia, Lega Nord, and Fratelli d'Italia posters everywhere. It's pretty wild. Although there's like this very cute video of a bunch of Zoomers taking off one of Fratelli d'Italia huge posters.
Yeah, in Sardinia?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was Sardinia. I think it was Sardinia. I was thinking of Sicily for some reason, but I don't think so.
So take us back. So back to the fall of Renzi, right? How did we trace us a line from there to here?
Yeah, so Renzi is a very particular guy. As we say on this podcast, he's the white Obama of Italy, and the guy is 47. He started in the Partito Popolare Italiano, which is an offshoot of the DC, of the Christian Democrats, and then he went into Margherita, which is another offshoot of the Christian Democrats. It's a whole thing where he then came to Partito Democratico, right? And like his whole shtick was that he wanted to be the scrapper of the elite of the PD, of the Democratic Party, and at the beginning it worked. Like he gained a lot of popularity, but then he did some heinous shit like the abolition of Article 18, which is of the Statute of the Workers, which it's very complicated. I barely understand it myself, but basically, basically, um, um, it's the statute where you couldn't get fired as by your employer for an illegitimate reason or a discriminatory reason, and you will get like even get money from the you will first of all get reinstated in your job, and you will get money from the employer as a penalty and whatnot. And he destroyed this and put some bullshit about getting a certain amount of money for how many months you had worked in a year. A whole fucking bureaucratic mess.
This is this is the neoliberal reform, right? The dissolution of like a formal structure that protects your employment and replacing it with what is essentially like American style at will work.
Yeah, pretty much. In fact, first of all, the act is called Jobs Act, which comes from the acronym Jumpstart. Where is it? Where do I have it? It's the acronym Jumpstart or Business and Startups Act, which is a reference to an Obama law. I don't know which one, but there is a law that Obama did.
But the acronym is in English.
Yeah, the acronym is in English because he wants to be white Obama.
That's
he
crazy.
Wants to be American.
Yeah, that's great. That's wild. That's wild.
It is wild, yes, and Obama, when he met him, said that he was doing incredible reforms, and Xi Jinping says the same thing too, by the way, which is very funny. That both of the aisles of the planet have said that this was a good thing, apparently. And this guy comes from the Christian Democrats, and like at the beginning was said like some, for example, talking about civil unions amongst gay people. He said that it was there was a waste of time, and that you didn't have to be Catholic to defend the family, which is a very just full-fledged fascist thing to say,
and very reminiscent of our own Barry. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, then he goes back on this, because basically what Renzi does is follow the market.
Right.
He follows the capital. And so
he's a worm. He's following a line of nutrients.
Yeah,
and
he's a spineless individual.
Yeah.
And like he's just following what the market does, because the market obviously is trying to what's the term? It's trying to sell us our own identity and whatnot. And so he's actually the one that implements civil unions in the end in 2016. He said this shit in 2007, this bad stuff.
Right.
And then in 2016, he's the guy that actually implements civil unions, which whatever. Thanks, I guess.
Once again, another classic move, like another classic Barry style move.
Yeah, and he says that as I said on stream while I was researching this, like he's like the complete facet, all of the complete facets of like the plutocratic Republican project, in the sense that like he has no actual ideology besides just following the market, in the sense that like how do I explain this? He damn it. He goes from, Christian democratic values to then saying to then doing civil unions, to then saying that liberalism is a value of the left, and that he follows Tony Blair, and then
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, absolute Blairite. No, yeah.
Yeah. He's an absolute Blairite. Yes, and then he goes on to what's it called? Fucking, the words are not coming out of my mouth right now. He goes on to sign up, vote for stuff that the Lega Nord puts out. He has no actual ideology, and this guy is also the guy who is on the let me find this. He's on the one of the foundations by the Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, I remember all of that coming out. How he was Bonesaw's man in Italy. Mohammed bin Salman is the name.
Yeah, Mohammed bin Salman. Yeah. God damn it. He's a member of the foundation that Mohammed bin Salman has, and he even has a car sharing company in Russia. He finally I found it. The Future Investment Initiative. For some reason I couldn't remember the name. Is the Mohammed bin Salman Foundation, and he has a car sharing company in Russia called Delhi Mobile, and he said of Saudi Arabia that it's like the renaissance of the future. It's a new renaissance for the future. Pretty wild shit.
Is Renzi a Neom guy? Is he trying to secure his condo in Neom?
Maybe.
Who
knows?
Look,
didn't it fail, like the Neon, or was it? No, it was the city on the water that failed.
I think you are thinking of a different psychotic oil princedom mega project, because there are a bunch of those like, we're going to build like a city of islands in the Emirates or whatever, that sort of get off the ground but then kind of collapse under their own weight. Neom has not. Neom is like the mile, or like the 20-30 mile long line city.
Yeah.
The just like trying to build Mega City 1 from Judge Dredd in the deserts of Saudi Arabia. You have to respect a true royal psycho, just out there, just going for it. So Renzi, he's on a bunch of magazine covers. He is Italian Tony Blair, Italian Barack Obama. He's breathing new life into a stodgy, let's call it center left, finger quotes, political party by yanking it to the right. So what happens to the Renzi principality? What begins Renzi's fall? And
I think that Renzi's fall starts to happen during, it's funny because it's pretty much a year after Renzi starts to rise, because basically Renzi rises when he becomes premier without getting voted in. By the way, he's one of the. I think he's the only. Is the only prime minister in Italian history that didn't get voted in, but instead it was because what happened is what happened is that the Letta government failed. And the then president of the Republic, Napolitano, gave Renzi the in like a special manner gave Renzi the reins of the government to make a new government. So Renzi didn't get voted in,
Right.
like Letta got voted in, right? But Renzi didn't. Right after a year after that, he does the so-called Expo, which is this like universal what's it called in English? The Universal Expo, I guess, exposition, where a bunch of like different different states and whatnot go to showcase their power, basically. And with that, first of all, with that, the first thing was that the production of the construction, the building of the place for the expo took a bunch of time. That did, and it was not gonna be. It was not gonna be ready for the time in which it should have happened. And then he got Sala for the management of the construction, and you know it happened just in time. And with that, a bunch of like anarchists and like anti-globalization protesters were protesting the entire time of the expo, and like there was a huge uprising at the time. So it was like every GA that happens in Italy, basically. But the true fall of Renzi is the Jobs Act, because with the Jobs Act he literally divides the Democratic Party, and he gains the hatred of basically everyone as in the constituency, and all of the even the co-signing unions, as we call them here. The co-signing unions are the main three unions that are basically non-militant, although the CGIL used to be very militant. It came from Giuseppe Di Vittorio, who was a staunch libertarian communist, and anti-Stalinist, but that fought both in Spain and during the World War II. So he gained the hatred of these, even of these big co-signing unions, and from there on out he just started to fumble until there is a referendum that he institutes on the constitutional reform, and he says, if this referendum doesn't go through, I'm gonna leave politics. The referendum doesn't go through, he doesn't leave politics.
Right, of course not. They never do.
Yeah, and then in 2018, the Democratic Party has the worst election ever, and he resigns he resigned from the PD after the referendum, but he resigns again after the election in 2018. The referendum happens in I think 2016, no 17 I think. Another and that's basically where he starts to really become a joke in Italy,
and so along comes a clown.
Yeah. Do you mean Beppe Grillo?
Of course.
Yeah.
So this vacuum created by Dago Tony Blair
is like filled by
a clown.
Movement. The 5-star movement is pretty old actually, comparatively to the rise of, like, it's as old as basically the rise of Renzi.
Right.
So like the 5-star movement starts in 2005 as amici di Beppe Grillo, as friends of Beppe Grillo. Beppe Grillo is this fucking comedian, sorry, that was very famous in Italy. It's basically similar to Zelensky in a way. He was very famous. He's not as handsome as Zelensky, of course, but he was pretty famous in Italy. Like Beppe Grillo was on Rai, which is the national TV channel, constantly, and he starts this movement with a web CEO, like, I don't know how to call him, like a web entrepreneur.
You're like a .com guy.
Yeah, a .com guy, who was Gianroberto Calzaleggio, and they start the movement the movement starts in 2005, but then evolves into this 5-star movement in I think 2009, if I remember correctly, and in 2009, like the first time, it's the first time you hear the name Cinque Stelle, 5 stars. But in 2012 is when they actually register the symbol and the association Movimento Cinque Stelle 5-star movement. The 5-star movement is like one of the biggest enigmas I have ever encountered in my life. I'm stunlocked every time I gotta talk about the 5-star movement, because it's insane. They don't want to be a political party, but they become one. They say to not be neither left wing nor right wing, to be post ideological, to not be a party, as I said. But they are in Europe. They are in a very right wing political group. Let me see in English here. Populist political group, which is called Europe of Freedom and Direct Democracy, which has nothing to do with direct democracy, by the way,
or freedom,
because it's a right populist movement of, like, they used to be Lega Nordene, they used to be the popular Danish party, there used to be another one from Finland. It's all a bunch of, like, extremely right-wing movements, so like they are called cyber utopists because they believe in the internet as the vehicle of democracy, which is
This so I have come to the conclusion that this is a direct result of allowing anyone over the age of 35 access to the internet when they should have access to televideo. Right? You should just have televideo. You should turn on your TV and it should be a wall of like ASCII art, and that is how you should be consuming a baby's first internet. Because otherwise what you get is this, like a comedian holding up a message board and announcing like, noble dumbasses, this is your new god. Right? Come and worship at his feet.
Yeah, because like they say they are for direct democracy and for like people deciding for themselves and whatnot. But what happens throughout the history of the movement is just Beppe Grillo deciding what happens in the movement and expelling. There's like a Stalinist style purge without killing them, but like basically it's the same. Purge of like anyone who disagrees with Beppe Grillo at all times, constantly. Everyone gets purged constantly in the movement, and yeah, it's wild. People have like compared them to the Pirate Party in Northern Europe, which whatever. They have compared them to Occupy, which has no fucking connection whatsoever to something like this, because Occupy was a mostly anarchist like movement of like actual like it was an actual experiment of like direct democracy and whatnot, which it went how it went. It's whatever they tried at least. But and then even comparing them to Indignados, which is another movement that was like very particular. Like it's the comparisons have no fucking connection whatsoever, and they start with these two Vaffanculo days, which is Vaffanculo means fuck you in English, and with these 2 days they do a bunch of like signature collection for different initiatives they are trying to push into the government. Like the concept of the movement is not like completely malign. Like what they want is that the general line of the movement is that they want for politics to not be corrupt anymore and whatnot, and they want a refresh of the politicians inside the government. I don't know how to explain it, but like
they want turnover. They want like
they want
limits.
turnover. Yes, yeah, they want a term limit for politicians and whatnot, which you know it has its cons and its pros, but generally it has more pros for me as a libertarian. But like. What's funny is that at the end of the day, they keep the same people constantly. Like the actual people in power, they remain mostly the same, and only the undesirable are obviously expelled. There's even what's funny is that. As from the beginning and even afterwards, they have a bunch of like actual far right individuals in the movement, in the movement itself. Like I remember, I don't remember the name of the person right now, but like there was a very like appalling apologia of fascism done by one of the movement speakers at the beginning of their rise to parliament, and for a good chunk of time, Paragone was in was with them. Paragone was let me see if I can find the fucking bastard. There you go. Where is he? Yes. Paragone became director of La Padania, which is the official newspaper of Lega Nord in 2005. So this guy is not didn't come out of out of the blue. He was in 2005 already attached to Lega Nord, and then he became director for a small time of Libero, which is a straight up fascist newspaper, which is usually directed by Vittorio Feltri.
This is how neither left nor right always goes, though, right? Like, whenever anyone announces, like, "Oh yes, we're neither left nor right," it means that they are the worst possible kind of right wing, sort of
it's like
smuggling operation.
Yeah, it's like the Fishhook theory. Like, the center at the end becomes the right, and it goes back to the center. So like,
they have a blowout election. They have an incredible election performance.
Yeah, in 2018, if I recall correctly, they have a huge election. They get the more than 30% of the vote, which in Italy is a lot. And not a lot of people vote in Italy. And
so this leads into a fairly revealing first choice of coalition partner to form a government.
Yeah, they form a government with Lega Nord.
Incredible.
Because of course they are neither left nor right.
Right.
Yeah, and they enact through this government some of the most liberticide laws get enacted by Salvini, of course, because Salvini is president of Interior, if I recall correctly.
Oh yeah.
And
this is a point that's been made by Bray Speldon on TrueAnon many times. But if you are ever involved with a coup or have the opportunity to enter government at an extremely high level, and you're offered a position, always take Interior Minister. Interior Minister, you want to be in charge of that. Because you get to do all of the very worst stuff that you can imagine as the Interior Minister.
Yeah, and so he does some hyenas shit, especially when it comes to migration and whatnot. He basically tries to outlaw NGOs who are trying to save people from shipwrecking in the Mediterranean and whatnot, which was already a thing in the so-called center-left Gentiloni government, where Minniti, they very much hated Minniti, created basically the conditions for which they are now in Libya. There are now basically gulags of torture gulags for migrants. That are ruled by the warlords that Minniti has done dealings with, and so like it's all bad. But like with Conte, this shit gets even worse.
So Conte, right? Hot for teacher, the sexy professor.
Yeah,
right.
The sexy professor.
His entire appeal is that he is, whereas Renzi was the spirit of Obama, Conte in many ways was the flesh, right? He's this sort of handsome professor. Is he also some sort of weird constitutional law professor, or am I making that up? I don't remember what exactly he taught professionally.
He's a is that the term in English? Jurist?
Yeah, like a law professor. Yeah, so
jurist.
He is the flesh, right? So in the at the tip of this spear, you have the figure of Conte.
Yeah, and the spear shatters very quickly because the Conte is elected in like the government starts the 1st of June 2018, and the crisis of the government basically starts the 8th of August 2019. That's pretty much how most of the how the turnover of the governments in Italy is. It's pretty short. they get thrown out pretty easily, and there is a crisis of government, and it's after that, if I recall correctly, there is a second government with Conte, and then there's another crisis, and with that, Draghi happens.
So Draghi sort of intersects with COVID hitting, right?
Draghi comes in at the let me see. Draghi comes in, I think, the second year. He comes in at February 2021. So it's like in the middle of the pandemic.
So the Draghi governmental coalition, once again, another sort of totally unelected governing configuration.
Yeah, this guy is a completely unelected. It's another one of the many technocratic governments that happened throughout the 2000s.
Former European Central Bank head.
Yeah.
A true goblin. Just an absolute, just a boneless creature of a man who looks like the Count from Sesame Street. A striking resemblance to the Count. Beautiful aquiline nose. Not that I can talk about beautiful aquiline noses. I know this is an audio medium, but I just turned side profile for Mario to. Look, we both have nose. Enormous honkers, right? So, not titties, noses. But anyway, so at this point, the Draghi government is made of every single party, with the exception of whom?
I think Fratelli d'Italia.
Yeah, they're the only ones sitting it out. It's literally everyone else on deck.
Yeah, there is Forza Italia, there is PD, there is Lega, if I recall correctly. Of course, there is Movimento 5 Stelle, 5 Star Movement. There is it's so many. It's so many. Article 1, which is a movement led by Bersani, if I recall correctly. Bersani is the ex PD secretary. Is that the term in English for head of the political party? Secretary?
No, but I think that's a pretty
how
commonly understood turn of phrase. So,
okay, yeah.
while all of these governments have been sort of congealing and dissolving since the fall of the Renzi government, a curious thing has been happening with the polls. There seems to have been a serious inversion between Cinque Stelle and Fratelli d'Italia.
Yeah, and PD, let's PD too a bit, but yeah.
So a huge amount of support has hemorrhaged, and it should also be stated that at one point a lot of speculative polling was putting Lega Nord up there. Like they were at some point in the polls, getting 20-30% of respondents giving them the affirmative. But at some point
in 2019, Lega was the highest. It had like 36%, 37%.
Yeah, it really looked like if they went to elections that Matty was going to become PM, right? Like he was headed for the big seat. But during the sort of global lockdown and the sort of intervening years were not at all kind to Salvini's polling. And now it looks like all of the support that was emptying out of Cinque Stelle into Lega Nord has collapsed itself into Fratelli d'Italia. Which is not good.
No, it's not good.
And look, obviously we're all forced to endure the spectacle of American popular culture, which includes our electoral politics. And there's a lot of hyperbole thrown around in America about like who is or is not a fascist party. The reality is, of course, that America is the Fourth Reich enthroned triumphant. And so every political party in America is a fascist party. But the reality is that kind of no one in America is fascist, because fascism requires, like stuff like mass politics, reading and writing weird books. Stuff that Americans just don't do, right? However, all of that to say, Fratelli d'Italia is absolutely a fascist party.
Straight
just
up.
As what 100%. Like there is no denying. There is no grinding the edges off of that. There's no softening this.
No,
they are a fascist party in a way that even like once again, like it's common to deploy the hyperbole, right? Like like the League, like Liga. They're fascist. They're fascist. They're fascist. Yes, but right, like they
it's like a specific political project. It's not like truly fascist, but
right.
It's fascistic.
Right, but
where like Fratelli d'Italia comes from the Movimento Sociale Italiano,
right.
which
in turn came from what, Mario?
the Partito Fascista Italiano.
There you go. All right, like we got it. So there's their ascent, let's say, is of course problematic. It's not good. So that brings us to present. We are now 1 week out from these elections. No, not a week. No, a month. We are 1 month out from the election.
It's the 1st of September, the 25th. It's the election, yes.
Where we may well see a coalition government with an unvarnished fascist party in the hot seat.
The coalition should be Berlusconi, Salvini, and Meloni. Although, seems like what's it called? Cinque Stelle are kinda slightly getting a bit higher, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that we're locked in for the bad outcome here.
Yeah.
And so it remains to be seen how long Salvini is going to be satisfied playing second fiddle again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already given up everything after getting that little tiny taste. He got a little crumb. Just a little sniff, of the seat of power, and he's haunted by it now. Yeah, he is gone hollow. Humanity not restored. That man is looking dry. He's a husk. So his ability to play nice with his coalition partners is going to be in question. However, all of this, I think, is going to be discussed in the coming episodes before the election, where we get a little bit more in-depth on the biographies of all of our favorite freaks. So
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so I think we've hit a good place to wrap it. Mario.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening to the first episode, and thank you for entertaining the idea of listening to the first episode. And let's hope that it doesn't go as bad as it seems to be going.
I am ready to board Mr. Bones' wild ride with you, Mario. I'm excited for the bad outcomes. I'm excited to go headlong, not into but through the terrifying wall standing in front of us. So, with that, everybody, have a great time.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.